It is showtime. We are live and on location. Welcome to Guitar Lesson Live. My name is Rob Reed, and I have a great lesson all lined up for you tonight. And I just want to say a little shout out to some friends that are tuning in from Upper Musquodoboit. I got Lillian, I got Nathan, and I have Everly joining us on our live tonight. And so exciting. Thanks, guys, for showing up and being so patient and waiting like a half hour before the live started. We've been having a full-on chat here. Yeah, so exciting. So I do a weekly guitar lesson every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. So tell your friends, and it's great time. We're hanging out. We're learning lots of cool stuff. Thanks for joining. So let's get right to it. I'll keep my eye on the chat there because these guys are blowing it up. So feel free to talk to each other, and I'll check back from time to time. So today's lesson is all about the bass strum style. So here's an example. It's all about bass strum or bass plucking. Sounds something like this. So it goes. Okay, so that's kind of an example of what's going on. And this is a really cool way of playing the guitar because it's sort of like a country, it has a kind of country feel, but it's in all styles of music. And it's just something that you want to be able to do if you want to broaden your horizons and be able to play like any song you want. It's just a technique that you just have to learn, okay? So it's called the bass strum style. And I recommend going back and viewing my last week's lesson on strumming so you can get kind of an overview of how we look at strumming and how we look at this rhythm stuff. Okay, so this is part 2 of that lesson. We're building on top of the lesson we did last week with the bass drum style. All right, so the first thing we want to say about that is, let me pull this up here. So the guitar, when you look at the guitar neck, guys, and you're just sort of looking at it, you're like, oh, we got a bunch of strings here. There's 6 strings. It's confusing. I don't really know what to do with that. Well, I want to show you an easy way to break things up and to look at it. So the guitar is broken into 3 bass strings. So the top 3 strings are your bass strings, 1, 2, 3, and your bottom 3 strings are your treble strings, okay? So if you're playing without a pick, your thumb would alternate and play those bass strings, and then your fingers would kind of play the high strings, just like a piano player when they're chording on piano. Their left hand, it looks funny on here because it's opposite, but their left hand is playing like the bass notes. They're playing octaves, and their right hand is playing the chords and the higher notes. Okay, so same thing exactly with guitar. So we got 3 bass strings, string 4, 5, and 6, and 3 treble strings. That's your first thing you got to know. Okay, and then the pick is going to pluck your bass notes. And you're like, okay, well, what bass note do I play? How do I know what to do? What do I do? Well, whatever chord you're playing, here's the second big rule. Whatever chord you're playing, you play the root note of that chord. So you find the bass note of that chord, okay? So if you're playing, Nathan, if you're playing an A chord like this, you're going to play the A bass note, okay? So here's my A chord. There's a picture of it there for you. There's my A chord. Well, this is the open A string right here. So I'm going to pluck that open A string as my bass note. And look, it just so happens to be a bass string too, right? So, okay, open A string for the A bass note. Now, if I'm playing a D chord, I would play a D root note or a D bass note, okay? And there's a picture of where you'd find it. It's the 4th string, okay? The D string is the 4th string, so that's my another bass string. And if I'm playing an E chord, I would play an E bass note as the root note. And this is my E string right here. So this is my E bass note. Got it? You got that, Nathan? All right. Okay, so A bass note, A chord, D bass note, and E chord, E bass note. Got it? Okay. So what if you're playing a G chord, where we don't really have a G bass string, right? So if I'm playing a G chord, this is my G note of the chord. So this will be my bass note of the chord. Okay. If I'm playing a C chord, there's no C string or C bass note, right? So I got to find C. Where would my C note be in the bass strings? So here it is right here. This is my C note. So I pluck that as my root note or my bass note. Okay. So yeah, it's really popular in country music, but it's popular in all kinds of styles like Americana. It's even in rock music. Like I just did a short on Name by the Goo Goo Dolls. He's doing that bass strum pattern. Okay. So it's just something you should know just to be able to play all the songs that you love. All right. Okay. So you know where to find your bass notes. Okay, so here's a little exercise we're going to try together. So grab your guitars. Nathan, grab your guitar. Let's do it, okay? So we got our A chord. We got 4/4 time. So 4/4 time means there's 4 beats per measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And my students know this from the recorder class last year. Okay. So 4 beats per measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4/4 time. So that means there's 4 beats per measure. Notice the first note, the 1, there's a T on there. Okay. What is Mr. Reed doing now? There's a T for the 1. That means thumb, but that's actually your bass note. Okay. So it's going to be bass pluck, pluck, 2, 3, 4, pluck, bass note, 2, 3, 4. And the chord is an A chord, so I want to be plucking an A bass note. Okay, so let's try that out. Okay, so watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that's going to be tricky because I'm from. Yeah, that's right. Everly was in my recorder class last year, so she knows all this stuff. Just apply it to guitar now, Everly. Okay. So now, okay. Okay, what was I saying? Okay, so it's going to be tricky to get that pick in there and to pluck that bass note. You're going to be missing that. You're going to miss the note. You're going to fan on it. You're going to flop on it, and you're going to get frustrated. So just be patient, and you can look down at the note so you can see where you're at. So like this. Let's do it again. Exercise number 1. Okay, so you can look at it until you feel comfortable. You don't have your guitar? Nathan, go grab your guitar. I'll tune it up for you. All right. Okay, so practice that. Go over that several times until you feel comfortable. Get that down. Kind of like so it's secondhand. You're not even thinking about it. Okay, I can watch TV and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then to get to the point where you don't even have to look at the strings. Okay. So now we're going to take that little exercise a little step further, and we're going to add our up strums. Now, if you watched my lesson from last week, we learned all about up strumming and how to do it. I'm not going to repeat it here, but we're just going to do them. Okay. So now we have still our 4/4 time, 4 beats per measure. First note is a bass pluck on the A root note. And then at the end of this, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay, so those are our up strums. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Really, you got to get back into playing guitar. Come on, every Wednesday night, I'm here. I'm teaching you how to play. Okay, so we got a lot to think about. We got our chord and our bass note, which we're plucking on the first beat of the bar. We're doing our 3 strums. And then when we get to our second measure, we're doing down, up, down, up. So if you clap it, it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay, so you can practice that. You don't understand anything? Well, keep showing up, Nathan, and it'll start making sense after a while. All right. And you can ask me some questions at school too if you're not sure. Okay, so let's try this one together. It's going to sound like this. And you can look at your string too because you're going to miss that bass note. Don't get frustrated. Just be patient. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, So I see like I missed it already. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and okay, that's what it'll sound like. So this is a little exercise for you to work on. So try again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and okay. And then a little exercise. Now let's apply this to a real song. Any questions so far? Can you get a discount on my merch? I don't know. I don't know if I can, Nathan, because I can't get discounts on my own merch. So maybe there'll be a coupon at Christmas time, or there's sometimes some sales that come up. So keep an eye out for the sales. I can't even get discounts on my own merch. Okay, so here we go. Here's our song. We're going to apply that exercise, what you learned. Now we're going to apply that to a real song situation. Okay. Oh, now everyone wants a discount. Just save up. Get a paper route and save up, and you can buy whatever you want. Okay. Kids need to learn to save up these days. Okay, so let's try what we learned to a real song. Okay, so we got 4/4 time. We have an A chord, a D chord. So that means we're going to have to switch our bass notes. Then we have an E chord at the end. Okay, but right now we're keeping it simple. We just do the bass note on the 1 of each bar. So it's going to sound like this, okay? Okay, so it's like, I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Oh, babe, I hate to go. Okay, that's it. That's the whole thing. Okay, so listen to that. You can go back and listen to me play it and just try to strum along. I just did the bass note, which is the root note of the chord, on the 1 of each bar. Okay, so A, I played an A bass note. D, I played a D bass note. E, I played the E bass note. So we're applying everything we learned to a real song situation. Leaving on a Jet Plane by John Denver. Okay, let's do it one more time. You guys can sing along, okay? Or play along if you have a guitar. So I'll make it a little bigger so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, ready? 2, ready. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Oh, babe, I hate to go. Awesome. Okay. So now the cool thing about this bass drum style playing, I just want to say something here real quick, is you can create your own bass lines with this stuff. And it's so fun. It sounds so cool. It's a little country. You guys like country? I know you guys at Upper Muscataba like country music. So here's an example of a little bass note like a bass run that you can do with this kind of stuff. Okay, so listen to this. Right? So it's a little hokey, but you can see where it comes into play, right? So this is really cool when you do this. Here's a good one. When you go from C to A minor. Okay, you've heard that kind of stuff before. Another cool bass run what you can do is from G to E minor. Watch this. So you can do a lot of cool stuff when you know how to get a handle on this. Okay. All right. So I'll do one more example for you before we move along. Now we're going to take everything we know so far up to this point, and we're going to apply it to a song situation. I do love country music so much. I listen to it all the time. Everly, that's cool. Yeah, it's really good. So here's a final example. So we have everything is all compiled into this one exercise. So still the same song, Leaving on Jet Plane by John Denver. So we got our bass strums. You're plucking the bass note of the chord, which is the open string in this case because it's A, D, and E. You're plucking the bass note. You got your down strums, and we have up strums in it. So the whole thing applied to a real song situation. So here's the rhythm of what it would sound like. Okay, so it would be like 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So that's the strum rhythm pattern. Okay, can you guys clap that with me? Ready? Clap that at home. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, so that's the strum pattern. You can put those up strums anywhere you want, but in this case, we're just doing it like this. So this is the one that's written down. Okay, so let's try it together. It sounds like this. I'm leaving. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, so it sounds like this. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Oh, babe, I hate to go. I'm leaving on a jet plane. Don't know when I'll be back again. Oh, babe, I hate to go. All right, nice. So there's the exercise. Learn that, internalize it, and get it under your fingers so you can play it with your eyes closed, walking around, watching TV. Okay, and I threw a little bass run in there for you at the end. So yeah, had a lot of fun here tonight with you. So bass drum style. Let's do a quick recap. So what we did was we learned that the guitar is broken into three strings. So the guitar is broken into 3 bass strings and 3 treble strings. Okay, and the bass strings are 4, 5, and 6. Treble strings are 1, 2, and 3. So when you're looking down at the neck, you're like, this makes more sense now instead of being overwhelmed. Okay, next thing is we talked about the bass drum style. So you're going to pluck the bass note of the chord. So the root note of the chord is the bass note that you're going to pluck. And it's going to be on one of those 3 bass strings. Okay, so the A chord, for example, you pluck the A string, which is your bass note. D chord, you pluck the D string, which is your bass note. E chord, you pluck the E string, which is your bass note, all written out there for you. And then we did our exercise. Bass, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bass pluck with 4 down strums. 2, 3, 4. Practice that exercise. Then we added our up strums in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can add them in anywhere you want. And then we applied this to a real song situation. All right. So having fun. Now, after this video will be up so you can watch it and keep going over certain sections if you miss something. I'm telling you guys, if you practice this and work hard at it, you will be able to do it, and you will be able to play the guitar and play any song you want that you hear on the radio or on your devices. So much fun. So join me next Wednesday for another lesson, guitar lesson live. Tell your friends. Hope to see everybody. Thanks for joining me, guys.